Hi, sixth grade. It's Mrs. Conant, and we have another video. This one is going to be super short. We are just building on what we have already been talking about with integers, and today we're going to be talking about subtracting integers. So our last video was about adding integers. This one is about subtracting. And in this case, we are not going to be using our algebra mat this time. We are just going to be using our number line. I looked through our lesson and I feel like the number line is the easiest and the most clear way to teach you how to subtract integers. So if you would go ahead and just draw a number line on your notes, you can replicate the number line that you see in front of you right now, and that will help you as we practice some of our problems. So let's get started. So a way that we can subtract integers is to use a number line, like I said. And why don't you go ahead and write down these steps of how we're going to use a number line in order to subtract integers. So the first step is you are going to begin at 0, just like we did when we were adding integers, and you're going to draw an arrow to the minuend. Okay, that's a very fancy math term. You see in here it says in parentheses the total. What they mean by that is it's the first number that you find in a subtraction problem. So it's the total number that's being subtracted from. Okay, and so that's your minuend. So first step is you're going to begin at 0 and you're going to draw an arrow to the minuend. Your second step is you're going to draw a second arrow from the minuend, and you're going to draw an arrow left of the minuend to subtract a positive number, or right of the minuend to subtract a negative number. Now, what I want you to write in parentheses after this number 2 step is I want you to write the words inverse operation. Inverse operation. We're going to come back to that. That's going to be a kind of a little clue for you as we work through these problems. And then our third step is that the final stopping place is the difference or the answer to our subtraction problem. So after you've finished writing down those steps, let's go ahead and let's do a couple of practice problems. So if you haven't already, go ahead and make sure you have a number line on your notes, and we are going to do the following problem. We are going to subtract -5 minus -2. So we're subtracting two negative integers. So like our step said, we're first going to start at 0, and we are going to draw an arrow all the way to the first number, the minuend, or the total number that's being subtracted from. So in this case, we're going to draw it to -5. Now, this is where I want you to refer back to what I said about inverse operation. Now remember, inverse operation means the opposite operation. So we're going to actually be doing the opposite of what you think that we should do here. So if you looked at this problem, you probably thought, okay, since I'm subtracting a negative number, I need to continue moving that arrow to the left because it's another negative number. But in actuality, we're actually going to do the opposite. And because we're subtracting a negative number, we're actually going to do the inverse operation, and we're going to move our arrow now back towards the positive side, 2 spaces. So when we move 2 spaces in the opposite direction to the right, we end up on -3. So -5 minus -2 equals -3. Now, a little thing that you can do when you are subtracting 2 negative numbers, you can actually take away the negative signs, and you can just say 5 minus 2 equals 3, and then you just add back on that negative sign at the end of the problem. But you just have to remember to add back on the negative sign. Okay, that's a little shortcut that you can do. Let's practice another problem. So here we have 2 positive numbers. However, we can see right here that we are subtracting the number that we're subtracting is larger than the first number. Okay, so let's work through this. We can't just say 2 minus 7 and figure that out, because it's not possible to do with that second number being larger than the first. So let's go ahead and plot it on our number line. So we're going to start at 0, and we're first going to move 2 spaces to the right because 2 is a positive number. And then, just like before, we're going to do that inverse operation. We're going to do the opposite of what we think we need to do. And instead of moving 7 places to the right, because 7 is a positive number, we're going to move 7 places to the left because we're subtracting 7. So when we move 7 places to the left, we end up at negative 5. So 2 minus 7 is negative 5. Okay. Those were 2 very quick practice problems. I just wanted to introduce you to what we're going to be doing on Monday. On Monday, we're going to be doing a whole assignment where we continue to practice subtracting integers using our number line. Your assignment that will be due on Monday are your video notes and also 3 practice problems. Now, when you're doing your practice problems, you're going to see that on problem number 2, and on problem number 8, it's going to ask you to use an algebra mat. I do not want you to use an algebra mat. I want you to use a number line. Okay, that's what we're going to be using in order to solve these integer equations. Okay, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I want to thank each one of you for all of the sweet words and cards and gifts that you gave me this week for Teacher Appreciation Week. It sure was a great week, and I love each one of you very much. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.